one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call of the Law and Advisory Committee members, please.
Mr. Hernandez.
Here.
Ms. Higgins.
Here.
Ms. Lopez.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Here.
Ms. Romero.
Here.
Ms. Tomei.
Here.
Mr. Verdugo.
Here. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda items as submitted, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda submitted.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Ms. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Romero.
Yes.
Ms. Tomei.
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo.
Yes. Okay, at this time, Law and Advisory member comments. Mr. Timas?
Yes, sir. Just go around the table. Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, I made a couple of visits with Mr. Holmes, I think it was in May. And we visited the wrestling room, which they're on the agenda tonight. But we also went over to Apollo to look at the basketball court that everybody's been talking about, that it's really bad and shabby work. But what I saw was the same thing I saw when they completed the floor. There's just a little slight elevation. I guess if that's the crack from underneath, you don't see the crack, but you see where it's just elevated like a little hump. It doesn't look like it's threatening anybody bodily harm or injury or anything like that. As far as what I saw, you can play on it. It would be fine, but that's my personal opinion. The only thing I did notice, and I did talk to Mr. Portillo about, was the upkeep of the floor. For the money that's involved, okay, maybe they did a kind of a not too good job, but we also need to maintain it and keep it up. So I think that was another concern. Like I said, I brought it up to him. And then we were outside looking at the softball field, and and Cenas was over there as well, measuring because of the new solar panels and blah, 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 blah. As far as the space and whatever the dimension's supposed to be. And I mentioned to Mr. Rodriguez, and he gave me the dimensions, and I don't remember, but I think we would be okay. But my only concern is it looks like a sandlot, not a softball. So we need to work on that.
Just to follow up on your comments.
Yes, sir.
Is it allowable to comment or clarify? We're addressing the Apollo softball field
Uh-huh.
with capital outlay funds.
Okay.
We're going to install a fence. We're going to have the maintenance department, as soon as the solar panel project is completed and there's no more traffic going around,
Yeah.
we're going to work on the field and the irrigation, move the baseball home plate back toward the backstop, and we'll have to install a fence. And is it also a netting,
Yes,
a net on the right field,
20-foot high netting.
so that the balls don't hit the panels
The
Yeah,
houses,
this way,
on the
yeah.
houses?
And the
And then-
houses.
and then to guard the panels in right field.
Okay, the fencing, because we had discussed it, is it going to be totally enclosing the field, or is it just that back part? We
Just
had
the-
just talked the back part.
Just the back part.
Okay, the outfield,
So we'll do that with district funds.
okay. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
Mr. Hernandez?
I don't even know if I'm able to discuss this, but 2 meetings ago, I asked if we could look into getting the kids in the different clubs a vest so that they have a little bit more pride in what they're doing when they go to other schools. I was just wondering, have we looked into that?
We're following
Is there
up.
money for it?
We're following up out of next year's budget, the capital outlay budget that we're going to be adopting, the boards will be approving this coming Tuesday, on the 25th of June. We're going to propose the M&O budget and the capital outlay budget. There's additional funding. We'll use funds from capital outlay to address those needs as soon as we discuss that whole project with Ms. NJ Utter and the academic decathlon sponsors to see exactly what their needs are, and then follow up there.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lopez?
I forgot something. At Apollo and the boys' gym, there's a section, we came in, yeah, from the east side. I don't know, yeah.
Northwest, northeast.
Yeah, whatever, we came in through that way. Anyway, when we did the walkthrough 3-4 years ago, there was some ceiling tiles that were missing or all messed up and wires exposed.
They're still there.
It still is.
We're realized that we have new leadership at Apollo Middle School. There's a new principal, Mr. Valdez, Mr. Valencia, Mr. Giardella, Mr. Portillo have made a thorough walkthrough of that facility, along with the elementary curriculum director. We've identified some areas that need to be addressed to make that school more aesthetically pleasing and operationally functional. And that's one of the areas we're looking at, to really look at what we can do internally to get that school looking and operating better.
Yeah, 'cause it's unfortunate, when we did the walkthrough, we mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were with us as well, that's right.
This is the
That is so true. So it's been, what, 4 years already?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
at least 4 years.
And it's still not being, it's not repaired.
Steps have been taken to address it.
Okey dokey.
Mr.
Mr.
Rodriguez.
Is there anything we can do to make sure that it gets done by in-house?
Yes, sir, and we're doing that in-house.
I mean, it can't be that big of a job, 3 or 4,
Whatever
or
we
even
can.
10 tiles.
Right. Whatever we can do in-house, we are going to do in-house. There is a major painting project that needs to be done prior to the beginning of school, and we contracted out with a painting contract to address that. Both the cold base and the painting of the hallways. So that's going to be done before the beginning of school. So that school should look nicer for the beginning of school.
Okay, this is Apollo.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're gonna get rid of those wires that you don't need, that were over through the cafeteria, that were
What?
IT wiring? Remember, were you there?
No, I wasn't there.
Is it intercom
It
or?
was, no, but there's wires, like when you come in and you're going into the cafeteria part, there's just wires hanging that are dead wires that are
Okay.
useless.
Um,
And they told us it was something about doing with IT, I don't know,
Okay.
intercom or what the heck, I don't remember.
so we are in the midst of an intercom upgrade project,
Yeah.
but, and I have crews that are doing that work. And I will add it to their next review to go and clean up and to remove anything that is,
Yeah, because
needs to be tidied up.
they were kind of hanging, and
Okay.
it was real easy for a kid to jump up and yank on it.
Yeah, and they're currently, this is part of their summer work project.
Mhm.
So I think we should be able to do that. If that's something that was identified at Apollo that we need to clean up, we'll get it done this summer.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other member comments? If not, moving right along, the financial report, bond expenditures and encumbrances, Mr. Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Attached to the board agenda item tonight is the latest bond fund expenditure report, a summary of where we stand as of June 11th with the expenditure of bond funds. We have with the county treasurer $9.6 million. Of that $9.6 million, 1.259 is encumbered to address remodeling renovation of $1,018,000, district-wide athletic programs $189,000, student technology $45,000, $1,600 in security, and $4,000 in fine arts. So of that $9.6 million we have available to be spent on those remaining area projects, $8,188,841.70 to spend on projects to be approved by the pocket committee. If you have any questions, I'd be more happy to answer.
So we're out of purchasing bonds, right, for this?
For selling bonds, yes, sir, we're sold out. We sold the 88. If you look at the very top, we sold 88 million. Well, we sold $88 million worth of bond. Via the bonds and the discounts that are applied, we received $88,183,294.67. That $183,294.67, like I mentioned in the prior meeting, I'm going to try to apply that toward the closing costs, so therefore reduce the cost of issuing down by $183,000. If not, if we can't do that legally, then that 183 needs to go back to the county treasurer to reduce the tax rate.
The whole 183, 294, 67?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Sims? Mr. Rodriguez? Okay, if no questions, Andy, we have anything to call to the item?
No.
Here, the first agenda item, 3A, Distributed High School softball field project, architect engineer project, Mr. Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Attached to the agenda item is a proposal from SPS Plus Architects that we contacted and asked for them to visit Bisbee High School, make a review of the whole softball area and come up with a fee proposal to make improvements that the committee had previously approved to proceed with. Their proposal to develop the specifications, the construction documents, and do construction administration through the 1GPA contract 18-21P-15 is $29,401. It is our recommendation that BOC approve this request.
Any comments? Gary?
They're charging $29,000 to tell us what needs to be done?
They're going to design, they're going to
Are
drop
they gonna
it.
build it?
No, this is just a, this is
This is to give us a design.
yes, ma'am.
I personally think that's a big chunk of money. Electrical, if I remember correctly, at the Sunnyside High School dugouts was in-house. The dugouts, I don't remember, Hector, what it cost, but it was, and I know there was a mess up there too where he failed to, I don't remember how much money. But the thing is, it came through JTAG. So, are we gonna put, we want the dugouts basically in the same place, maybe a little longer, masonry. We basically know what we want. We've had a lot of things done in-house as per ideas. I personally cannot see spending that $29,000 and then have to pay what? How much more for building this thing? These
It all
dugouts?
it all
And
depends,
that's what I mean,
it all depends on the scope of the
electrical
project. Yes, ma'am.
and everything else, because my thing is, okay, basic. They wanted a whole new field, which is impossible, because you're talking about over $500,000. We've already invested $300 and some thousand in it with the lighting, the pathway, the parking lot, and which included also the renovation of ROTC bathrooms for them to utilize. Okay, I know the dugouts are small. They've been there since 85, 86. I understand that. But I just have a hard time paying somebody that much money to tell us what needs to be done. And when Sunnyside had in-house do the electrical,
No, we had the contractors, we just designed, we just made a square to say you provide the design and the permits for it. Basically, what we're asking the committee tonight is to have us get an architect to do it professionally, do it right the first time, and also the improvements, not only to the softball field itself and the dugouts, but also to look at designing, extending the 88 path, the asphalt that ends at the
what is that?
north end of the visitors dugout. So, north end, the north end.
Northeast,
As you go from the parking lot up to the parking lot,
Right.
you pass the visitors parking lot, a visitors dugout, right there it ends. There's nothing beyond there. None under the bleachers, nor anybody who has,
It runs then right where the bleacher is, or just before that?
just at the end of the dugout,
At the end of the home base, home,
the visitors,
or the visitors?
third base side.
Oh, you're reversed.
The other reversed it. The desert view, the home side is on the first base side.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sun.
Yes, sir.
The sun.
Oh,
Oh, only because it's sun.
well, they're saying, let the visitors bake.
But right now, they have electricity on third base side dugouts
To the poles.
to the post. You can bring electricity from there to the dugouts, correct? And that's how it's done. Oh, it was before your time when we did Sunnyside, right? Or was it? No, you came and paid it. That's right. Who was here? Didn't you run electrical from the poles to there?
No, I can't tell you, I wasn't part of that project.
Oh, that's right.
At Sunnyside, they ran it from the high
So
school.
the batting cage or?
Or from the batting cage?
The batting cage.
Oh, okay. And then, my understanding is that they want to move the batting cages where? If they're already on their side, on home base side, first base. That's an added expense. And we just gave them netting, okay, you can move that with the fencing, but how much more that would include for the fencing. I was gonna do a basic, let's do dugouts and,
Mr. Rodriguez?
If I can answer that question about the batting cages, if you look at the attachment C, that little drawing there, that was my drawing in meeting with the coach. Nowhere did he say that he wanted the batting cages moved. The batting cages would stay in place where they're at now. What he is asking to move is to enlarge the both dugouts, both visitors and home dugouts, to then move then add a storage unit there, which is item number 2 at the very top on the right-hand side. And then item number 6 is actually the placement of, or the moving of the pitching practice area up in that area, which is currently located in between where item 2 is. So because you're adding that storage unit there, you need the additional space. So he's moving the pitching practice area over. But the actual batting caging would stay in place.
So just like the mound and the rubber?
I'm sorry?
Like the mound and the
Yes,
rubber?
the mound and the rubber and everything would be
yeah,
moved back.
that's-
West.
yeah, but that, okay, so they're batting cages over there, okay.
Mr. Hernandez?
I want to know if the architect, is he being told that he has to demolition the existing the existing dugouts, and then put something new in?
That's, my understanding is that's the request, to
Okay.
demo the existing dugouts.
Because they're,
But he won't do it, he just designed, he'll just be designing the new facility, the new dugouts. The specifications that he'll be developing will include language to the effect that the successful contractor will be responsible for demoing the existing facility,
yeah,
okay? But the successful contractor is gonna be the one that's charging for the demolition, or for the actual demolition taking place.
okay.
This is just design of the construction documents.
I'd just like to make a suggestion, rather than demolition, the old, why don't we add on to it, using the same materials, and then stucco it so it looks new, even though it's not. If we have to move fences or whatever, why do we have to demolition something that's usable and just add on 10 feet, 15 feet, whatever it is they think they need, and put new benches, put a new roof, rather than demolishing and everything, and then starting all over? Doesn't make any sense to me. How do the rest of you feel? Do you feel that we should destroy it and then rebuild everything? Or just add on to it and do like I said, go ahead and stucco it so that it looks brand new? If you don't like the roof, you put on a new roof. Why destroy something that we can still use and it's practical?
Yes, Ms. Lopez.
I think my whole thing is the amount of money that we're paying an architect to tell us what needs to be done, and okay, the specifics, okay. And then how much more are we gonna pay for this afterwards? And we didn't go through this at Sunnyside. I guess that's what my issue is. The coach got the bids, worked with a guy from J-10, even though there was that little glitch. They got their masonry dugouts and they look nice, and the district painted. I know there's an issue because the dugouts at Bisbee are narrow, shorter, and I know they need storage. But I guess it's, like I said, it's a personal issue, because hypothetically, how much is this gonna cost? What did it cost to build a dugout at Sunnyside?
I don't remember what it was.
But I tried to look up the information, I couldn't find it.
Right.
And I know Dennis in-house did electrical work. So we know for sure that, so that's part of what they're telling us in-house. They're not doing any demolition, any building, any nada, but They're just telling us what we need.
If I'm not mistaken, the contractor that did Sunnyside's dugouts, also, the demo was included in part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
They demoed the slab area and they put new slab area because they went from chain link to CMU wall, so the footings had to be wider and deeper with reinforcement and then, your anti-quarters, your rebar. So all that had to be included, which wasn't in the slab before. And I remember they consulted somebody to see if those were thick enough to sustain the CMU, and the engineer couldn't verify that, so that's why they demoed this. So I think that may be the case that they're used, since it's just chain link. So we don't know how thick the slab is, we don't know how much of a toe down they have.
Well, that's easy to find out. You know, that all you have to do is core it to find out how thick it is. If you have to, you put a little more concrete on top. What's the problem? That's why I'm saying, why destroy something we can still use? The demolition, even if he says, I'm not charging for this, he put it in the bid. You're not getting it for free? Are you kidding me? No contractor's gonna give you demolition for free. He's gonna say, hey, I did it as cheap as I could, I gave it to you at even cost. Cost to him means he still gets his 15 or 20% on top of the bid. So he's not gonna give it to you for free. Nothing's free.
Ms. Lopez, did you have something else you were gonna add?
No, I'm just having a hard time with that number amount. Because all he's telling us what we need to do, he's not doing the actual work. And what's it gonna be on top of that?
The possibility of that.
Versus, I guess because I keep referring back to Sunnyside, we didn't go through that.
Three bids, I believe.
Yeah, we got 3 bids. Coach did the groundwork. Basically, you're talking $30,000. And then the dugouts, pathway, the water fountain, be like, what are we talking about, 100 grand?
Yes, probably.
So we're talking 130 grand.
After everything is said and done, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's going with this.
The,
And how much of it?
Oh, this can be agreed. Porque dice que no se manda.
I guess I'm just tired of it, but
It's going to be a lot of
Well,
money.
that's another thing. We're spending $30,000 right up front, and nothing's being built.
The thing is, the money we save there, we can use someplace else.
and we're down on funds.
It's not like we have $88 million anymore.
Yeah, they do the light for the betting tables too.
Is that good?
Yeah, Sunnyside drew the electrical work from the betting cages to the different.
So if we still had a bond project manager, was he the one who's supposed to do all this and not have to pay these people $29,000?
Not necessarily, ma'am, no.
I just thought of it. You would still probably hire somebody to do it, but the guy we had was an architect, so he would have been able to do it.
Remember you use your funds, Mr.
No, what happens is I can't even find, I can find the change order that, it was Lieber Custom Homes was the contractor that we issued the bid for the dugouts.
Wasn't it Klein Masonry that required an additional
Well,
amount of money for something?
They wanted $8,700 additional because they forgot to include, somebody added wrong,
Yeah.
and $8,700 was requested.
That went to the Masons, right?
Yes,
But as far as total,
I cannot find the agenda item with the government, with the box approved total project,
what year was that?
2016.
Yeah, I thought it
It
was
was, let's see, yeah, April 2016.
I got tired of going through my boxes.
That's
We'll
what
look up
back
the
as far as I
information.
could look, and I couldn't find it.
Let's see. You got the flagpoles here, got the snack bar here, and that. What else? Search.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Got a question.
Yes.
How come we never see Mr. Holmes anymore?
I believe that Mr. Holmes, if I'm not mistaken, is part of the city
Yeah.
group that he heads. So conflicts with the Wednesdays that we meet here
Yep.
for five. I can't recall the name of Luber's.
Yeah.
You know the-
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but he had that meeting tonight.
Yeah, something like that.
Education.
Yeah.
Okay, got another question then.
I'm open my computer and search it.
If he was already here meeting with us, and he knew the day that we meet, why didn't they schedule it for a Tuesday or a Thursday? Is it that we're not important enough? Or what's the problem with scheduling Tuesday or Thursday? Or Friday?
I think the reasoning,
Or even we could have moved, instead of being Wednesday, we could have been Tuesday, so that he could meet with the other group and meet with us too. I like to see everybody who's concerned with the problems be there so that they can understand. When we're doing our, I lost my concentration of the word that I need, so that he's there. He sees our concerns live. It's different when he reads it on a piece of paper. Or when, even if you were to go
It is,
and
yeah.
tell him,
Yeah.
this is what's happening, it's not the same. You can't see the passion that I have, or any of the others have, in whatever they're concerned with. That's my problem with not seeing him for almost, 8 or 9 months now?
I don't know how, but I know he has a conflict at
No, I
this
know.
time, yeah. And
that's
these,
what
and
I'm
these meetings
saying.
are scheduled like, I think,
If
a year
the
in
conflict
advance.
is the Wednesday, because he doesn't want to change with them, then change us to a Tuesday or a Thursday. What's the problem? I don't see the problem, so he's here. So he sees everything. He hears everything.
I will be sure to share that with him about your concern.
yes,
I have a question, but I don't know who to direct it to.
somebody will answer.
You guys. So both high schools have scoreboards?
Yes.
Okay. At Sunnyside, where are the controls?
The power
No, the controls for the scoreboard. Is there electrical controls?
inside the dugout.
Okay, on the home side.
Mhm.
Because they want to relocate to home side, so that means to first base.
First base.
It's easier for them to move back to where everybody has home base, third base side. Why did that, I don't know. And then at Sunnyside, do they have, what is it, they have their, I lost it. On the doors to storage,
Box.
they're single hollow metal, okay, they're from fireworks side. On the dugouts, they're just the entrance to the storage door from the dugout, yeah, it's not gonna be outer. The same thing, that's what they want, they don't want it for outer, they want it
They
for
want
inside the
one,
dugout,
they want a door leading outside of it
not through.
and through the dugout.
Both?
Through the-
Mhm.
Okay, it's a double hollow.
Yeah, they want a double door to be able to put, like, if they have a golf cart or a gate or something, to store it in there, to lock it up.
Because Sunnyside puts theirs in the batting cage, or do they anymore, no, huh? They burned it.
I don't see a board going from here to there, from the dugout to the storage. I see one on the outside and one on the outside, but I don't see one from the dugout into the storage. I see a
Yeah,
dugout.
I know we talked specifically about going from the outside because they have to get the large equipment from the outside. But I don't recall
They go
anything
inside.
from the inside.
And this one doesn't show any doors.
Right. No, that's just, what they want to do is they want to take the dugout
Oh, they just want to
and they want to extend it out.
And no storage on this?
No, no storage on the visitors, or I'll just say third base side.
Just incorporate future snack bar area, so for the future, they want a snack bar, or are they asking for it now?
No, they have a
Do they have
portable
a snack bar, a portable snack bar?
but they just want to be able to have electrical connection.
Okay.
All the trade.
Yeah, trade.
Discuss to expand catering to incorporate future snack bar area.
Mr. Wetland?
Yes.
Question. Is there any reason we specifically use SPS Plus Architects for the softball field as well as the renovation proposal for the storage shed?
Well, it's because of the committee's concerns with the PMC square, that we talked about a couple meetings ago. And so we found another architect so we can go to somebody else other than just exclusively go to the PMC square.
Have we used them before, then I take it?
SPS,
Yes.
no, we have not used them before, but they primarily are on state contract and they do a lot of work for school districts throughout the state. And they are just now opening an office down here in Tucson. They're primarily working in the Phoenix Valley area.
So they're on
And they
there.
do a lot of schools up in the Phoenix Valley area. They just now are opening a office in Tucson.
So from your understanding, I assume they're resurrected.
Yes, sir.
I have a question with regard to attachment C. Number 2, addition of a storage room, 10 by 20 by 8. Why, if we approve that, then we go to approval of storage sheds in the racquetball, and then we have more, 7 storage rooms, why do we need another one?
this is just, it's the addition of a storage room for them. They currently have a rented storage room that the coach is actually paying for. And so he's just wanting to have storage there so you can make storage equipment there on site. And that would replace that. That would replace that storage room that he's paying.
So then really, if we forgot about that, we forget about that. And then if we wanted to, we could approve this one, the next agenda item, correct? I'm just saying, as you see, it seems kind of redundant. We have a storage room there, and we may approve the storage proposal for the racquetball. But that's a long ways away, I think, from the softball field to the racquetball court.
Yeah.
Good exercise. All right, we got,
I just handed out, it was the board agenda item, the Bach agenda item that Bach approved back in April 2016. Summary basically is we awarded a contract, a PO to Lieber Custom Homes in the amount of $39,375 to build the dugouts. They came back with some change orders requesting that we pay additional funds. We agreed upon not paying the full amount of the change order, but rather bringing the total cost from $39,375 to $40,107.25 for the total construction of those dugouts.
And this was in 2016.
So if we didn't spend the $29,000 on this third party, and we put that towards the cost of the dugouts, maybe today's prices are a little bit higher. But let's say 60,000, that's half, that's one dugout being built, with what we would pay to have a third party consultant be let us find out what we have. I do understand that the scope of the project includes more than the dugouts. It includes electrical, mechanical, structural, the light, the pole, and the pole bases for the screen, and all of that. I think that I'm going to use wisely by putting that towards the cost of the dugouts.
Here, I think is the vision, we know what we want. We know it needs to be done. somebody telling us how we need to do it?
No, I think this, what happens is basically what we told the architect, this is what we want. He says, this is what I'm gonna charge you to design what you want,
Okay.
$29,000. So that's the bottom line.
So,
With that, I'm gonna design be in charge of design of construction, develop the construction documents, design the improvements, and oversee the construction.
and
And
then,
make sure that it adheres to code and permits, etc. So
and then we have.
basically, here,
Yeah, and then
architect,
we have to bid out for a
Yes.
construction
Right.
company to come and do the work.
yeah, they might come in at $100,000, who knows?
That's what-
Depending on what the scope of that project is, because basically, we've told them what they want, and he said, based on what you want, this is your cost, my cost to design what you're requesting. I wouldn't pay $29,000 to design a house.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my problem,
Huh?
because I keep.
But this is hands-off. In other words, here,
referring
architect,
back
you
to
do it.
Sunnyside. You know, that's my issue, because I keep going back to Sunnyside. We didn't have to pay an architect to tell them what they needed. They knew what they want. He did go through this, but we also had in-house help.
At this point, rather than continue, I think we're at an impasse. Can we just table it?
Or you just take action and say no to the proposal, and we'll just,
We're not gonna meet in the minds here, right?
No, we can make that.
Say yes or no,
Yeah.
just get on with it.
I need a motion to recommend to approve the governing board that SPS Plus Architects be awarded a contract to provide the services as indicated at a cost of $29,401. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Even though I hate turning down the bid until a later time.
Do we have a second?
may I recommend that the motion be that not to award,
Not go through.
that would be the motion, that not to award the contract to SPS Plus.
Right.
That would be the motion. So you gotta make that motion, then a second, and vote on that.
I'll make the motion not to approve it.
Okay?
Second? Roll call?
Mr. Hernandez?
No,
Yes.
that means I don't want it.
That means yes,
Yes.
Or that means
yes to the no.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Ms. Higgins?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tomei?
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo?
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. On 3B, Desert View High School racquetball conversion to storage, architect engineer proposal, again, Ms. Encinas.
Again, got a proposal from SPS Plus to design improvements to make those racquetballs into storage. The fee being proposed is $26,599. What, I think it was 23,000. What was that type? Yes, $26,599. The recommendation to the committee is to not accept the proposal, but rather allow the administration to pursue the project in-house, to spend no more than $30,000 to convert those, as many of those racquetball courts to storage, with minimal enclosure in terms of making it secure and adequate storage space, and not utilize more than $30,000 in-house.
Yes, Ms. Lopez.
With the recommendation that it be undertaken by in-house, have plans been put together as to how to what any idea or anything?
We got some great maintenance individuals with construction experience that could design something, would pass it by city inspectors for make sure that it passes structurally sound, all within the $30,000. We might have to incur the services of a structural engineer to get it stamped, but it all will be done within $30,000.
Would it also get a piece of the solar energy to light inside?
That's probably a thing, a given. We're not gonna spend any money on extension
They can
cords.
take their flashlights.
We're gonna get
No,
a,
they can
we're gonna
use
get
the
a,
solar.
we're gonna get a Costco, solar light there.
Solar light with panels.
Yeah. Put all on there.
Motion detector on it.
Because basically, I think you're right, that the demand for electricity in that, in the storage area will be minimal, just to light it when people go in there and try to get out or put stuff in. Other than that, we don't foresee AC or fans or anything else, just,
My thing is, how come, I know I've been harping on this for years about converting the racquetball to storage. You guys got the bright idea now.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful in my book. I think it's great.
I assume that's a yes then?
For me, yes. Compared to the other prices that have been quoted to us were ridiculous.
Okay, well, I don't know if you understand the bid. This is for SBS services, $30,000.
Oh, to them to do it? No.
No, for them to tell us what
No,
we
no.
would need.
Yeah,
No.
to design the
Oh,
actual,
I thought that's what.
No. See, you're thinking
Yeah.
in-house thing for $30,000, we're gonna convert this into
No,
a
then you
storage
know I'm
district.
against it.
It's another 30.
Oh,
Yeah, then
no,
that $30,000
no.
for this consulting fee, for an architect
No.
firm to come up and tell us, here's the design. and
Okay,
this-
then I totally took it in wrong.
so the recommendation is not to accept the proposal of $26,599, but rather allow the administration to do it in-house for an amount not to exceed $30,000,
Exactly.
total design and construction.
Yeah,
Yeah, that I agree to. Okay,
yeah, I like that. Yes, Mr.
Has
President.
has interest been shown in the utilization of the storage area that will be created?
By the administration,
Within
the
this review, the administration.
Well,
yeah.
they've expressed a need for additional storage. The big minus on this, the location of it, that we'll have to, chug some equipment a long ways to take it where it needs to be utilized.
Right.
Our argument is that you'll have some storage and you'll have to make accommodations to get that equipment to and from that storage area whenever you need it.
In other words, strategically, you're just gonna have to make it work.
Yes, sir.
Bottom line.
It's basically, it's this or nothing. Or connexes, that's the other thing that we're looking at. Storage, those metal containers, but again, those pose to be a problem also in terms
Yeah,
of.
we've got 3 walls, we need a roof and a front wall
Yes,
with
sir.
a door.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion on,
I make a motion not to recommend to approve the government vote to the government that this project be undertaken in-house with minimal AE services and bond provided may approve expenditure of not to exceed 30,000.
To do that,
Not
to recommend that. Our request is to allow us, recommend to the governing board, to allow us to expend up to $30,000
In-house.
in-house,
No,
Yes.
including
in-house.
any minimal architectural engineering fees,
I-
including the cost of construction.
that's the
I
recommendation.
I think the recommendation is to deny the SPS
Right.
plus,
We're denying.
yes, that's the recommendation, and to go in-house. So if you just leave the recommendation as it is, I think you're getting what you're,
Leave this the recommendation as is.
yeah.
That'll deny SPS.
That'll deny SPS, correct, yes, sir.
All right. Thanks for explaining.
All right.
Put this in.
all right?
Then I'll try again. Yeah, go ahead.
Got a question.
Yes, sir, we get it.
Rolling here. In the front of the units, is the slope away from the unit so the water, when it hits the door, it just doesn't go down the door and inside the unit? If not, I recommend that we put a slope going away from the building, past the door a little bit, so that the water cannot get back into the building. Because I know they're gonna have a problem if it's flat or if it's leaning in. Everybody's gonna be complaining that there's mold and you can't breathe in there, everything.
That's one of the things we're gonna have to take into account.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Verdugo, you'll make that
All right,
motion.
again. Recommend to approve to the governing board that this project be undertaken in-house with minimal AE services and the bond advisory committee approve the expenditure of not to exceed 30,000 for all expenditures, fees, labor, and materials.
I second. I second.
Roll call?
Mr. Hernandez.
Which way is yes, no
Yes.
to the project? Yes? Yes.
Ms. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Ms. Tomei.
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo.
Yes. Thank you, thank you. We'll move right along. On Liberty ADA Pathways Update, Mr. Garcias.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, the park members. As the committee members will recall that you approved that we spend up to $40,000 to address the pathways that would be ADA accessible. You were also apprised that we started this project or undergoing or awarded purchase orders to the vendor Play It Safe, and found two things. One, that Craycraft was not included in the original proposal, and then two, that Liberty, because of the situation and the location of where the new playground is at, which has to cross a ditch that drains into used to be called Bernie Cone Lake in front of the school there. We would have to do additional work to address the accessibility of an ADA accessible pathway at Liberty. So we deleted Liberty from the scope, added Craycraft, which had not been included. And the reason why it wasn't included is because this vendor did not do the Craycraft site for the playgrounds. Okay, it was a different vendor. So based on everything except Liberty, right now we're 3,000. Yeah, 36, 38, 84 left over from the 40,000. The proposal to address Liberty is $13,550.25. So we need additional $9,991.41 to fully address the ADA pathways at all the schools. So we're requesting the committee to approve Liberty and award Play It Safe a purchase order to address the Liberty Pathway project in the amount of $13,550.25.
Any discussions on this?
Yeah, clarifying again. This will take care, Craycraft's taken care of. This additional one is simply to
To do it right.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you
Yeah,
see,
'cause I know about the pond and
you
the water.
saw the
Yeah, I
pictures
know
in there,
about
okay,
it, yeah.
okay. So we're asking for an additional $9,900.
Because Craycraft was excluded in the other bid. Okay. I just wanted to get this straight.
Any questions for Mr. Martinez?
Okay, then I'll make the motion to approve to recommend the governing board to proceed with the installation of the Liberty ADA pathway at a cost of $13,550.23.
Second. Second, roll call?
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Ms. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Romero.
Yes.
Ms. Tomei.
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo.
Okay, letter B, Sunnyside High School Wrestling Room Remodeling, Mr. Encinas.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. As the committee is aware, we've had, when people think of Sunnyside athletics, they think of Sunnyside wrestling. And it's a dynasty that's been built upon over the years and has been continued by the efforts of our new coach, Anthony Leon, at Sunnyside. And this past year, again, won another state tournament. Mr. Holmes had the opportunity to visit the site and talk to the principal and the coach, and basically in their discussions, they identified a need to really upgrade and renovate and modernize the wrestling room practice area that's right north of the main gymnasium. And tonight we have Mr. Anthony Leon, the coach of Sunnyside High School Wrestling, to make a short presentation to the committee, requesting that you consider additional funding to do some renovations and upgrades at that facility with basically in-house staff. So, Mr. Leon, turn it over to you.
Up front right here?
Yeah.
That's right, okay.
you want to run that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, hey, thank you very much for hearing me this evening. I wanted to start off by thanking everyone. About 5 years ago, you guys, I came in front of you guys and you guys approved the wrestling mats. We started a chain reaction. Desert View got new wrestling mats and they're being used right now. So I'm missing practice time to be here to give you guys some information regarding what we'd like to see at Sunnyside High School with regard to the wrestling program. The first thing is that this needs to be looked at is something that was kind of drawn up and done in-house with the help of Steve Olivas and Art Ortega and Mr. Holmes, as well as Mr. Torres and Mr. Castello. A few things, and I just put this together just to outline a few things. The objective here is to give the kids and the coaches the safest, nicest, and most deserving facility in Tucson. What we're looking at doing with minimal funds, under $20,000, is making this wrestling facility the best in the city and the best in the state of Arizona, as a matter of fact. The second objective is to update the legacy and tradition. Constantly what I hear when I'm at the high school, at the football games is, Coach, how come Sunnyside School District hasn't done much to upgrade or to memorialize the wrestling program, the other athletics? There's no Hall of Fame. If you walk into these other high schools, I mean, it's very obvious there's a Hall of Fame. There's a presentation of a lot of success. And we've had a lot of success in Sunnyside. Unfortunately, we haven't done a very good job of letting everybody know what we've done, and it's like eye candy. It's really nice for people to see, and alumni that come back. So update the legacy and tradition of Sunnyside wrestling program, outline the successes, and attract alumni back to the community. The wrestling program alone has doctors and lawyers and judges and engineers that have come through the program that, I think that if we did a little bit better job of giving them a product, that included them, right? Last year we had the 40th anniversary of the first state championship team, and you know what? It was the most tickets sold at an athletics event at Sunnyside. So we got to give you some understanding where we're at here. But bringing the alumni back, bringing their checkbooks back into the fold, and not just for the wrestling program, for all of athletics. But I think this is going to have an impact as a whole. Take the next step in facilities and accommodations to more align with the premier wrestling programs in the country. Thank God I'm given the opportunity to travel all over America with our kids, and we get to stop in some of the other great wrestling programs in the country. In fact, last weekend we were in San Diego at Poway High School, and their wrestling program, it pales in comparison to ours, but their wrestling facility is just incredible. And I included some pictures that I took out there, but if we could more align what we have at Sunnyside with something like that, I think that, and it's not that we need it to do a better job, we just need to take care of it. And then lastly, a facility will help continue and enhance the success of the premier non-country club sport in the state of Arizona. And you can read the statistics: 31 team state championships, over 100 individual state champions, and that needs to be outlined because that's kind of what we're doing here. Currently ranked top 40 program in the country, winningest non-country club sport in Arizona. We have 16 wrestlers currently wrestling in college. We've got the #1 kid wrestling program, so we run a year-round, and they'll start up at 7 o'clock. We run a year-round free kid wrestling program. It's the only free kid wrestling program that runs year-round in the whole state of Arizona. So we're not just servicing kids at the high school level. We've got kids from 5 years old all the way up to high school, and it's going year-round. So it's one of the most used facilities in our district, and thankfully Mr. Encinas is allowed us to do that without incurring costs. But it's used year-round, and I mean, tonight we had 45 kids at the high school practice, and we'll have another 30 or 40 at the kid practice. You do the math. That's 4 nights a week here in the summer. It's 5 nights a week during the school year. There's a lot of kids that have a place to go, that get something out of it, right? Next slide. Okay, the last picture, the last state championship photo that was put on the wall was in 2005. And of course, when I came in 9 short years ago, one of the things that I wanted to do was to put all the pictures on the wall. Unfortunately, what we've done over the last 9 years, previous to that, or Mr. DeBerry had done previous to that, is that they won so many individual state championships that there just logistically is not enough room in that wrestling room to put a photo, right? And so one of the things that this committee can decide on is we're going to take all the pictures down and we're going to put up the pictures to include every single person that's won a state championship, which we're going on 14, 15 years now without putting a state champion's photo on the wall, which is kind of par for the course. Okay, legacy of the program highlighted by renovation. What we're going to do is also include team pictures. So every state championship team, 31 of them, will be on the wall so that, you know, if you brought your son in from Ohio, right, and you were part of the state championship team in 1989, you could come into the wrestling room and you could show your son, you know, look, that's me on the wall there, and that happens all the time. In fact, I get called up to the office consistently during the school year. Hey, somebody, so-and-so would like to check out the wrestling room. You're the only person with the key. Go let them in. So that happens all the time. In addition, we've got, this is hard to see, but we've got 31, actually, it's closer to 40 some, because including second place trophies, and they're just kind of sitting around. This is in the PE coach's office, right? Because we don't have enough room for all the trophies. I mean, that's not, we're not trying to be like conceited or anything, or you know, arrogant, but there's so many trophies that we don't have enough room for them. So next slide's going to kind of help with that. Mr. Block.
Sorry.
Okay, so this is, like last weekend, I was in Poway. So this is kind of the same configuration that Art and Steve and I had talked about, where there's just rows of championship photos. And these are done real nice, and they're on plexiglass, and they're real cheap, real easy, and it's real easy to update them. You know, as opposed to woodworking. You know, when those wooden frames were created at Sunnyside, there was a wood making program, woodwork program, and so it was real easy to get that wood made. Nowadays, you know, it's a little bit more difficult. So this whole system of having like a plexiglass tiered system where you can just, every single year, we had 6 state champions this last year. Every year you just throw the 6 photos in there with a little nameplate, which makes it really, really sustainable for the next person that's the coach, and the next person, the next person. And I mean, to be quite honest with you, the program's never going to slow down. It's ingrained in this community. So this is just a few pictures from a trip there to Poway High School. Next slide. The pony wall, which is kind of was included in the bond project. Right now, what separates the mats from the carpet and the equipment, which is 2 treadmills and 5 bikes, as well as some dumbbells, is what would you call it? Maybe a 4 by whatever, a piece of wood, right? That's kind of nailed to the ground. What I'm asking for is a pony wall that sits about yay high, that separates the practice facility from this workout area. It also separates the parents from the practice area, so that there's no issue with people with their shoes on the mat. Could become an issue.
Mr. Leon?
Yes.
We've got a note here in our package that the coach requested a pony wall to be installed inside the wrestling room and to be reviewed by maintenance and risk management and district administration if the wall has been eliminated.
Right,
Is
right.
this the same one we're talking about?
Yeah, no, same wall we're talking about. And there was an additional attachment. I don't know if they got it, but I just got it yesterday from my principal. I don't actually think that the rationale for not including the pony wall is, I mean, I don't think that the person who denied the request, either risk management or district administration, has ever been interested in it. So in speaking to Mr. Holmes and speaking to Mr. Costello, I had them included again so that I can give you some rationale. I believe it was denied initially because they thought that somebody could run into the pony wall, right? But wouldn't, for safety reasons, it be a whole lot safer, because we're gonna pad that pony wall, right? Wouldn't it be a whole lot safer to have them run into a padded pony wall than to run into a steel treadmill or a steel pipe? Right? And so I just think it's a lack of due diligence, really. Here is the,
How high is the pony wall gonna be? I think the concern was the height of it could pose a danger to some wrestler being picked up and thrown on top of the pony wall. It would be that high or that low that would pose a problem? I think that was a
no,
concern.
there's, the pony wall sits about, Steve,
4 feet.
4 feet. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's any issue about lifting somebody on top of it. In fact, that's not realistic.
Because it's up against the mat, right? The mat comes up, this would be the mat, the pony ball would be here, so they'd be resting up against the pony wall.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
okay.
just like there would be wrestling up against the treadmill. Or
But there's space between the existing barrier and the carpet.
How about getting picked up and slammed on the
On the
little
wood.
wooden, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
you have to kind of, in my opinion, you have to kind of be
Picture.
in there and know it.
So has
Yes,
it,
sir.
When I was wrestling, I never saw one guy at the same weight, maybe a big guy against a little guy, be able to pick somebody up completely and throw him over his head. Never seen it.
Thank you, sir.
Never seen it.
No, yeah, that further.
That's a little bit far-fetched.
Exactly.
When you grab somebody and you throw him to the side, you're not going to pick him up over your head. Nobody has that strength
I agree.
unless it's a heavyweight against a middleweight or something like that. That's it.
No, I agree, 100%. Absolutely. Yes,
so
ma'am.
my question is, you're concerned about the kids being wrestled onto that wood piece, right? And also to go into the dumbbell treadmill area.
Correct. Well, no.
Has that happened before? Have there
So-
been
so,
injuries
yeah.
to that?
Yeah, exactly. We had an elbow hit the wooden piece, right? And caused some inflammation. It's been documented. Greg, our trainer, documented it. But yeah, that happened.
What
But aside from that, no.
What about if you put foam something or a rubber mat or some kind over that wood piece
Sure. You know,
instead of a pony wall?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could do that, but I think it's just the pony wall is a separation between that area, right, where the doors where you can walk through the doors, and so it's you're separating.
So you want the separation?
Yeah, the separation, the safety is a byproduct of that, but the separation in and of itself is good because we're trying to save those mats. We want those mats to last another 15 years. And with shoes, street shoes on the mats, the wear, right? The wear is much quicker. So we want that separation. We want there to be, a barrier between the equipment and the parents and adults that might be watching practice or might be in there in the actual wrestling facility. Yes, sir.
How is that pony wall going to be supported?
Right. Well, that's a Art and Steve question.
Yeah, I mean, I pull across pony walls all the time, and I get them over. The only way they're supported in most houses is they have cabinets against them to keep them.
I have a, excuse me,
Yeah.
but I do have a display of how it was support that if you'd like to see that.
So what would it be?
Can I bring it in so you can see it?
You can't just figure it out?
Yeah, I can, but I have it, it's a 2x6 wall, we also have some 1.5 inch pipe. It's green plate on the bottom, the frame is 4 feet high. We're gonna drill a hole into the concrete, the 1.5 inch pipe.
And then you attach that to the wall.
I'm sorry?
Then you attach
Yes, sir.
to the wall,
Yes, but
the
we're
pipe,
35
or whatever
feet,
you're
sir.
using. You drill a hole,
Yes, sir.
you put whatever you're gonna use as a standard, every 10 feet or 5 feet, you pour it with concrete with whatever you're using. Then you attach those to 2x4s or steel. Does it make any difference? It's not gonna move it. It won't move.
Another question. Okay, so you still want the pony wall, even though they're risk managed and all, they're saying they're afraid for safety and liability.
Well,
You think,
Yeah.
you think it would be a better deal?
No, I think that they actually, because
Keep
they
the separation?
redid the proposal, and I just don't think that you got it.
No, we don't.
Yeah, but in the one that I have sitting on my email, the new proposal, they
Isn't
went
this
ahead
it?
with it, yeah. I mean,
This is it, right?
Yeah, they went ahead with it, right? And I don't think that risk management's gonna be an issue. And I just think it was some miscommunication.
So they went ahead and approved it after this fact?
Yeah.
After we received this?
Okay, here it is, last page.
Yeah.
The last page kind of explains it. And I was unsure why they didn't move forward with it, and I was never told why. But we've met several times as a group, Steve, Art, Rebel.
No, it doesn't.
It just says that's an addition of what it's gonna be and what it's gonna cost. And it's not, excuse me, it's not we don't want to approve it, but ultimately it's the safety factor, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah,
Especially for the wrestlers as well as
Sure.
the parent.
I was unaware that risk management actually went in there and looked at it. So,
Also maintenance, it says reviewed by maintenance, we have maintenance people here. Did you, anybody from maintenance that's here, Bill, that was part of this discussion?
As part of the discussion, we discussed the pony wall, and it was taken to risk management, but the initial concern was people that may get thrown, maybe a possibility of people getting thrown into the wall. And but the main concern was that the reasoning for the wall was to keep people out and keep the shoes and those kinds of things out of the area. And one of the other concerns was, well, you know, if you have wrestlers that could be thrown into the wall and keep people out of the area, then it would have to be limit access to that area. That was another concern.
But that being said, even if you do build a wall, you can always put mats.
Yeah, and that's what it
separating the
says here.
wrestlers
right,
from the
so
wall.
the whole goal here is, and I just think honestly, and I feel like I've been watching 45 minutes of your meeting, you guys are all straight shooters, so I'm gonna be a straight shooter. I just don't think that there was any type of, nobody went in there and looked. Here's the thing, you build the pony wall, you pad the pony wall, they came up with a system, Art and Steve, where they're gonna make sure that it's structurally, it's gonna be, solid, right? And so it takes care of all concerns. We wanna keep the mats, those are bond committee mats, right? It was $40,000 worth of mats. You wanna keep those things as usable as possible. You allow street shoes on there, they're not gonna be usable for another 10 years. Safety with regard to the treadmills and the bikes that are in there. If somebody really wants to run someone off the mat, right? If your concern is them hitting a wall, how about be concerned with them hitting a treadmill or them hitting, a parent who's in there, just.
Poses another question.
Sure.
Is this partition wall going to separate the wrestlers as well as the parents from these apparatus that you're talking about?
The pony wall will be used to separate,
Yes.
to keep
The
adults, non-wrestlers, or anybody working on the equipment away from the people wrestling and practicing on the. May I make a suggestion that if you consider approving it contingent upon the district getting approval from its insurance carrier, the trust,
Yeah.
would shoot this by them and only proceed with the installation if they have no objections to it?
Thank you.
Okay.
And the liability.
Yeah, we understand. We're for you 100%.
Yeah, no, I just, again, I just think that it was.
I think this is,
So if that's the
liability.
approval of the committee, that we approve the expenditure not to exceed $21,000 to remodel the existing wrestling room and coach's office at Sunnyside High School, to include the inclusion of a pony wall contingent upon approval from the Arizona Risk Retention Trust.
Yeah, because, the notes there, they're risk management, all these people say, nah.
Well,
So kind of like,
As long as somebody will come out and look at it, I'm all for it.
well, yeah, somebody will look at it, but I'm
Well, I
just
don't
saying
think
the
they will,
comment
though,
was
that's
already
the
made.
thing, between you
The
and I.
comment was already made.
The $21,000 that was being asked includes the cost of a pony wall.
So if the insurance liability doesn't, so
They
it's
say
going to be
no,
less.
then
Yes.
that takes that cost,
Right, that's why it was done separately. In case that's not what needs to happen.
You need to understand our point too, Mr. Leon, is that this is put in our package. Sure. And regardless if you think that it's valid or not, it's still something that we have to address.
Absolutely.
Mr. Hernandez?
I have a question.
Sure.
Since you have so many trophies and so many pictures, why is it that they're just put on a brick wall? Like, I don't care that they did this. To me, to be a trophy, you should be in a case, right?
Exactly,
It gives it more importance.
right,
It looks more aesthetic.
yes. So it's,
Why be on a brick wall when anybody can go by, even if they have a partition, and scratch the picture or drop it or whatever?
right.
I don't understand.
So yeah. I mean,
How come you haven't been out here since you got here and told them this is what you want?
No, if
You have the right to do that.
No,
I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it or that you
telling you.
should.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why didn't you?
yeah,
Were you afraid of these people?
I don't think so.
I'm certainly not, and I feel the same way as you. But if we back up to the Calais here, this is how we're going to present the pictures, right? This is the same. Same way they have it at Penn State, the same way they have it at the University of Iowa. It's plexiglass, or I don't know what we decided on, but it's not glass itself, but it protects the picture on the wall. So if you're a state champion at Sunnyside High School, you get your picture on the wall. And with regard to the trophies, we don't put the trophies necessarily on a brick wall. In fact, what Steve and Mr. Ortega, whose brother was the state champion, what they came up with was revamping the trophy case to include some LED lighting, protecting it all. It sits high enough to where, you know, it's protected. I mean, just in general, in talking to Steve and Art, it's going to be really, really classy. In fact, I think if you saw it, and of course, we don't have it yet, but if you saw it, you'd be like, wow.
Well, then why would you separate the picture from the trophy? You're going to have a little more impact if the person that won that trophy is either in front of it or behind it, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. Why should they have to go and look at a picture over here on this wall and then go and see a trophy over there? They don't make the connection. Very few people will make the connection. But if you have his picture with the trophy, it doesn't matter who you are. You'll know who got that trophy.
Right. It's just, there's 100 individual state champions whose picture are going to go on the wall for everyone to see forever. And there are 31 state championship trophies. So if you're an individual state champion, you don't get a trophy. The team.
I understand that,
earns
but you can
the
put them
trophy.
in one shelf here and the other state champions sit down here and put the trophy in front of all of them. I mean, there's 1,000 things you can do, but you have to ask so that it can be done.
No, this is
If
what
you
I'm
don't
asking.
ask,
This is what I'm
it's
asking.
never going to get done.
This is what I'm asking for. I want the individual state champions to parade the room, and I want the state championship trophies to be in an enclosed, nice trophy case with LED lighting. That way the gold is real nice and looks really good.
I've got no problem with that. What I've got the problem is that you didn't do it right away. Because you are the wrestling coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you complain right away? This is part of being in the school.
Sure.
You have to give your advice on what you think should be done. But you can't get nothing done if you don't ask.
But I think that, and I appreciate that, but I think that he can answer that question, because I did about 6 years ago ask for all of this. And we decided on the mats.
Did you come back the next year and do it again?
We decided on the mats, and this year we decided it was time to move forward.
6
We
years
got
later.
approval from the
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why didn't you ask right after we got the 88 million when we first had it? We're down to the bare bone now. Now you're getting ready to get denied again.
Mr. Redondo? Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the expenditure not to exceed $21,000 to remodel the existing nursing room and coach's office at Sunnyside contingent on approval by Thursday.
Second.
With the pony wall.
Second.
We have a second? Roll call?
Mr. Hernandez,
Which way does it go if I say yes or no?
Yes is a yes.
Yes,
Yes.
approves the construction.
Ms. Higgins?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Got a motion.
Mr.
Yes is
Rodriguez?
no.
Yes.
Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tomei?
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo?
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
thank you for.
Thank you.
Before you leave, I want to say thank you for everything you do for these students, for Sunnyside.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's-
Yes.
you
Thank you,
do a
Coach.
really good job.
Good job, Coach.
Thank you, George. He's gonna be here next, at the next meeting, as for
I
new
know.
facility, because you're gonna chew him out if he doesn't.
That's a state.
All right, next item on the agenda, E, Ocotillo Swimming Pool demolition, Mr. Francino.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, Dr. Members. For your information, the Ocotillo Early Childhood Learning Center has a indoor pool. It's currently not usable. It's old, it needs extensive repairs, and upon discussion with the Director for Exceptional Education and the principal there at Ocotillo, it has been determined that we really don't need a pool for the program, that it would be best that we eliminate the existing pool area, fill it in with sand and dirt, and then cover it up with some concrete and make a classroom space out of it. We have a proposal four proposals, the low bid being $23,246.57 to complete the entire demolishing of the existing pool, filling it in, finishing off that facility, and converting it to instructional space. So the
That
first-
would be my question, what are they gonna utilize the space for?
Uh,
You said classrooms?
LRC, no, is it the LRC?
LRC the makerspace.
For who?
Like an art room type.
Oh. I heard Baker.
Maker.
Maker.
Oh, I heard Baker. Yeah, exactly.
Rodriguez?
Yes, Mr.
Got a question. You're saying demolish the whole pool. Take it out, steel, concrete, everything. Why?
The ramps.
What I'm saying is, first of all, listen to what I'm gonna tell you. Why don't we just drop it down 2 feet on the edges? Fill the dirt in without having to go through so much demolition and removing it, because it's gonna be underground anyway. You're not gonna use it for anything other than put another slab over it. Why would we wanna take the whole pool out if it's never gonna be used again for a pool? If all we have to do is knock off 2 feet off the top, fill it with gravel, fill it with ABS, and then put concrete on it. I don't see the reasoning behind doing so much demolition when it's not necessary.
I'm not sure, I think the term demolition is being, I think that's, and I don't think it's correctly being used here in the way it's being written. I think there's a different
Do
process
the
that you're.
other people that are bidding on this, do they understand that you're only gonna take it down 2 feet?
Yeah. On the proposals, it says right here, chip and remove the surface tile, grind off additional thin set, backfill the pool, pour back slab, and final cleanup.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't read that.
They followed your direction.
The neighbor, they said the pool and this, with this, only the fill and put the completion, it's like an
Just,
This-
Mr. Rodriguez, just for some context, when it was originally started, there was a lot of therapy being done in those pools because of the students that needed that at that time when that school was built. A lot of the therapy has kind of been modified to include different rooms, so that's why the pool isn't really, and any student that actually needs pool therapy, they are actually coming here. And there's very few that actually take advantage of now because there's other tools that they're using.
Back in the day, excuse me, back in the day too, originally, they used to have life skills for children up to, or I say children up to 21.
Yes.
They had life skills for them as far as cooking and cleaning and even with the swimming and stuff, like PE, whatever.
Yeah.
That's been a while.
in the pool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Any more discussion on this? Any motion?
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Are we gonna have somebody out there watching that they make sure that they do the compaction right? So that later on, the concrete doesn't just sink in?
That's a good
Are
point.
we gonna have people watching this
Yes,
time?
we've designated Mr. Art Ortega and Steve Olivas to oversee the construction of any bond-funded projects. That'll be their assignments. So we'll
Okay,
make sure
good.
that they'll be
That's what we
doing that.
need, oversight.
Any further questions?
And this current, like a guarantee, they say it's ready and
We're gonna make sure that this,
si se quebra o algo.
we're gonna be compacted and make sure that we gotta make sure the strength of the concrete, that the temperature is right on the concrete, that it's not overheated and rebar, et cetera, so we'll make sure of that.
I make a motion to request that the bond advisory committee approve for Marcon excavating and construction be recommended to the governing board to demolish the Oakland swimming pool installing with cement at a cost of $246.57.
You have a second?
I second.
Roll call?
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Ms. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Romero.
Yes.
Ms. Tomei.
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo.
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda, letter F, Santa Clara basketball court resurfacing. Mr. Encino.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. I have a request from Mr. Ernesto Badilla, the principal of Santa Clara, who was going to be here tonight, but he went to the dentist earlier today and apparently didn't go too well for him, so that's why he's not here. The request is he has an existing outdoor basketball court that needs to be resurfaced. These courts are, I think, the original courts that were there since the school has been built. It's over 40 years ago. And Mr. Valdez has obtained a cost proposal from Play It Safe to install and to repair and resurface the existing courts. I think I'd ask for some details in terms of the resurfacing material.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Padilla has asked if we could take a quote, so we can come to the committee and ask for the funds to resurface that. The court, in Mr. Padilla's explanation to me, is that he's concerned because the court has been there, it's the original court, it's worn down, and when they start having basketball games, they've actually had to move to different courts because the children are sliding around and it becomes unsafe. So what he just wants to do is just resurface the top of it, make it a little safer for the kids so that they can play basketball there, and then they don't, it's not a hazard for the kids when they're playing. So he's not asking for a new court, he's just asking for resurfacing of the top of it.
Any questions? Mr. Hernandez.
How old is the old surface?
40 years old.
Pardon?
40 years.
40 years old.
40 years?
It's the original slab that
Well, I would say it's time then.
I make a motion to approve that the bond advisory committee recommend to the governing board to approve this request.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Ms. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Romero.
Yes.
Ms. Tomei.
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo.
Yes.
Okay, letter G, election of bond advisory chairperson, co-chair, Mr. Encino.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. How quickly time passes by. It's time to elect a chair, a new chair, or a chair again, or re-elect a chair, elect a chair, or and a co-chair, and elect your chair. And the floor is open for nominations for both positions, and I suggest to the committee that it open up nominations for the chair, and then after you take action on that, open up nominations for the co-chair. So,
I'd like to nominate Ted Rodriguez again, since he's allowed 2 one-year terms as chair. I don't know if anybody else has
I
any.
second.
Then, if there aren't any other nominations, you've closed. If there aren't any other nominations, you move the nominations be closed.
I move they close.
Second on that? Okay, then move on the nomination. So you're gonna vote, right? You have to vote.
Yeah, I'll do roll call. Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah.
Ms. Higgins?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tomei?
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo?
Yes.
How about Mr. Rodriguez?
No?
Vote for himself? Okay. Congratulations, my condolences, I think. Nominations for co-chair?
I nominate Mrs. Lopez.
Nominate Mr. Verdugo, second by Mr. Tomei.
Okay. Mr.
Done.
Hernandez?
Yeah.
Ms. Higgins?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tomei?
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Encinas. Next item on the agenda is other bond project status.
Just to bring the committee up to speed in regards to the status of the other projects, we have 4 of these projects that we're going to give some information for and bring the committee up to date. They are the Ocotillo parking lot, the Gallego Intermediate Playground carpet project, and the administration complex paving project. And unless you have more information, I can address some of these, like the Ocotillo paving parking lot. We're just waiting for the solar project to finish there. We do have EMC2 who's been working on that project. It's been put at a hold right now until that solar project is complete. Once the solar panel project is completed, then the contract will move out and we'll be able to get the EMC2 to move again on that project. And if you recall, the scope of that project was basically to build a parking lot on the west side. There's also some requests to do some additional shade areas, which may be not necessary because of the solar panels that were installed, so that's going to have to be rethought and revisited. So until that time, that project is on hold.
I know some also pick up and drop off areas going to be redone.
Yeah, it's in the front of the school. Yeah.
I passed by there, man, it looks like that took a lot of the area that was part of the design, so I'm sure the scope of the design is going to be.
Gives them the shade, though, what they needed,
Yeah,
what they were
yeah,
concerned
that's
about.
a lot of main concern.
Yeah.
If I can skip down to number 3, the project, a carpet tile project, Los Amigos Elvira, Mission Manor, and Challenger, Mr. Portillo. You can give us an update on the status of those four schools? These are the remaining schools as far as carpet and tile district-wide.
Currently, right now, Elvira is 50% done. They started on June 11th. They're almost completely out of there. They are just doing some final touch-ups at Los Amigos. I'll have next board meeting, we'll have photos for everybody to see and everything. I apologize for not having tonight. We'll be starting Challenger this week, probably tomorrow. They'll be sending a crew over to start ripping and tearing out everything. And they work Friday and Saturday, so we'll have them in there this week and tearing everything out and getting everything done. So it's going good, it's coming along really nice. So, yes, sir.
Just a question on Elvira. I remember one of the parents had volunteered their time and a lot of material to do some of the classrooms. Were any of those had to be redone by us, or?
That's all, everything's been done.
So those, even those that he did, they had
Yes,
to be redone?
Because they weren't, that carpet, the way it was done, it was nice, but it just wasn't good carpet for our kids. In my opinion, it wasn't the kind where we could go in, make a real quick clean, and then get out. This carpet we have now, if there's a bad stain, we can get a custodian to go in, pull it out, put a towel in, and then go and take that out, and then we clean it away from the kid. So if it's badly stained, we can get it out and replace it with a brand new one. So that's why we went with that.
So the other one was ripped out?
Yeah, yes, sir, it was.
And we went with the standard carpet tile now. That's the
Yeah,
standard for
no,
the
that
district.
makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But I didn't know if what he had used was comparable to what the district.
No, not at all. It was, no.
Mission Manor?
Mission Manor, we're looking at probably going to be starting July. And the way they're going, they'll be done before school starts. And it's just going to be the carpet tile inside the classroom. So there was no need to get the VCT, I believe. It's just going to be the carpet.
and the VCT will be inside the cafeteria and on top of the stage, because that did need it. So we will be done before school starts, it looks like.
So we'll be able to have an update completed projects for the next BOC meeting, which
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
scheduled till August. We don't have a
Yeah.
meeting in July, so when we come back on August, we'll have full details and pictures of those projects as completed, okay?
Yes.
Administration complex paving project?
Reference the administrative complex, I just got off the phone with Mr. Matt Cornett from Gordian, who did the presentation with the gentleman from Tucson Asphalt. They're currently finishing up the design for the drainage at the administration area. He's had to make some cost adjustments there, which are in our favor, which is reducing the cost, because in the original proposal that you approved, there was some engineering costs associated with that. But because we were able to give them materials that we already paid for engineering, they're now working the proposal that Tucson Asphalt gave, and they're reducing the cost for the engineering. So it's going to be less than what Tucson Asphalt proposed to him from Gordian. So they're working on that. He should have that all to me by the end of next week, and then I talked to Tucson Asphalt. As soon as they get that done, then they can have their crews. What their plan is to have a crew out here beginning the asphalt, but because they feel that it's going to take them relatively a quick period of time to get the paving done, that they'll have a crew doing this. At the same time, they'll have a crew doing the grading and the drainage area at the same time. So then they'll meet up with each other quickly.
So done before school starts?
That's what they're hoping to, yes. If not, I am going to have them at least start here and then work their way back. And they'll be doing the bus area last.
Yeah, this would be nice.
Yeah, but I'm going to have them start on here and then work their way back to the bus area because of the drainage that they have to do there.
The last project is the Gallego Intermediate Playground. If you recall, we did have EMC2 who gave us a proposal to break down that project into two phases. Phase one would be the football field area, the soccer field, and then the entrance to that area. And I believe the projected cost was over $600,000 for just phase one. Phase two would be the baseball field and the softball field and the rest of the playground area, about another $400,000. So we were looking at over $1 million to improve the playground there at Gallego Intermediate. At your direction, Mr. Valencia has looked at the possibility of undertaking this project in-house. By doing so, though, we would require to purchase some equipment to perform the actual caliche breakup, grading, install new equipment like irrigation booster pump, and also address the not only the phase one, but also the phase two, the baseball field and the softball field. And I'll just turn this over to Mr. Valencia, is that the proposal there?
Yeah.
Okay. Turn it over to him to explain.
So the bottom of
And this is information at this point.
Okay, yeah, we
Okay.
don't have.
You don't have anything, but it's just
Mr. Bill.
information.
so as you can see, this is all of the tractors, ripping, blades, it's everything we would need, which the good thing is, this is all stuff we can use later on in the district as well for the football fields and other athletic fields. But the first one is a Kubota. It's just one of those small tractors, little backhoe to get it into the little areas about it and break up the caliche, break everything up. If you look down, there's even a water trailer so we can fill it up with lime and water, break down the caliche as we work on it. This is the worst case scenario price because I did add replacing all the irrigation system for the whole playground area. But that's worst case scenario at all. The total price, if you can scroll to the right a little bit, that's what taxes. The total price would be $295, $622, and 38 cents. But that includes the whole playground, sorry. And that's worst case scenario. And that's including the seed, the Bermuda blend seed, and then all the nutrients we would need to revive the soil that's there.
Mr. Hart, and I think because it's information, I think the purpose of this is to just solicit whether you want Is it, do you want a more formal presentation around this, or do you think this is a worthwhile effort to pursue a formal presentation to Alcon?
Any question, does it also include the labor cost?
No, because that we can actually do in-house. If we need overtime, I can ask for that, but we would have a team dedicated just for this. And that would compose of one plumber, maintenance worker, grounds, a little bit of everybody, so everybody's a part of it.
So I think Mr. Holmes did indicate, this is just, we're just exploratory. So more or less get your feedback to see whether or not you want a formal presentation. We'd have some more details in terms of schedule, man hours that would be utilized for labor, and the project schedule as far as beginning date and ending date.
Yeah, and I'm just saying because you've got more manpower,
Yes.
so the rest of the district is in the budget.
That's right.
That's
That's
my
what I'd
thing,
be worried.
Because I've heard a lot about school grounds look like crap.
I beg to differ now. If you look at the playgrounds now compared to
But-
how they looked,
I'm talking
4 or 5
about
years
a month
ago?
ago.
well,
Yeah.
You were telling me,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm just looking at, I'm picturing the
What
playgrounds.
school did you go to?
Well, I was looking at, you know, if I'm looking at, I'll go around and look at the district facilities and remember myself, Mr. Valdez, Superintendent Holmes, pulling weeds,
Well, that
and
was,
the appearance
yeah.
of the schools in front, that has improved 100%.
Yeah, because I understand
In
some of the
in terms of
janitorial services.
the playground itself, we've had some
Yeah.
issues with irrigation lines. That's been due basically to the fact that we had the solar project, which resulted in turning off water lines and grass dying. So, but Mr. Valdez, Mr. Valencia, Mr. Valdez have been on top of it in terms of trying to repair those systems and get water back on the field. So
They were
they'll-
talking about the weeding and.
The weeding, we've
and
got
the
to,
weeding and the grass being cut, the dry grass being cut and so forth like that. Yeah, you know, so they asked me, so I'm asking.
Mr. Hernandez?
My question is, for all the equipment that we'll be purchasing, do we have some place that it can be stored so it doesn't get rusty, so it does, people can't see it and go by and do something to it? Do we have some place to store all this stuff that we're gonna have to purchase?
Actually, we've been recycling old Ramadas that we've had to take down from the playgrounds. Even the mail center, we stripped that down. And that's gonna be over the equipment in the boneyard area. And that's a secured location, it's fenced in. Nobody can get in there without a key, and there's only 2 keys. One for purchasing and one for maintenance.
And cameras.
And cameras,
Cameras covered.
security
Very
cameras.
good, that's what I wanted to know.
so if it's okay, we'll just prepare a formal presentation for the August meeting.
Mr. Holmes, did you have something else to add?
No, just want to make sure that we formalize maybe on the future agenda items, we can ask for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valdez. Valdez. Mr. Holmes.
Good job.
Any requests for future agenda items?
I just want to make one more comment.
Yes, sir.
I'm all for this in-house. I've been telling you guys for years.
Yes, sir.
In-house, when we first started, when I first got here, 7 or 8 years ago now, $1 then, in spending the community for our people here, made it $2.70. I would say it's up over $3 now, every dollar we spend here. It stays in the community, it doesn't go out. It's like I had told you then. Try to work it so we can do things that are small at different times, even if it costs us more.
Yeah.
We make more money on more,
Yeah.
believe it or not. I would rather the money here stay in the community with our people than go to Phoenix or go someplace else.
You've been clear on that, yes.
So the little things I know we can do here.
Yeah, I agree.
Any suggestions from any block members for future agenda items? Any unfinished business? Oh, Mr. Hernandez.
The vests that I was talking about for the kids so that they have something to look forward to. Because if you can walk around in school with a vest that says, I'm in the chess club, I'm in whatever, the kids feel better. They have a better view of life. They say, if I work hard, I'm gonna get something in return, even if it's very small. That's what I would like to have the next time we meet.
Yeah, okay.
Any unfinished business? Anything? Anybody? Need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Roll call?
Mr. Hernandez?
No, I don't want to. Just kidding.
Is that yes, that yes mean a no or no meaning yes?
Yes. Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tomei?
Yes.
Mr. Verdugo?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Talk to you a couple of things. Last week, us to shoot the budget, buying academic jackets, and he's invest, recognize the non-athletics activities. It's not really a bond expenditure. It's really a capital outlay. I told him that this coming year, I'll look at understanding capital, we're gonna look at the public.